You guys, we're back. Just trying to improve you lot's life, trying to level you guys up. You get me? Welcome back. So this is actually something that I made. What's it called? I made like when I was bored, kind of. You get me? Because I'm always thinking about self improvement, always, like literally always, bruv. And I think you guys can get some type of value from it. I'm an engineering student personally. In fact, I'm literally here. Hold on. You know what I'm saying? Studying. I'm behind. I'm behind. It's not my passion at the end of the day, but still. Um, but yeah, man, I'm I'm an engineering student. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I've gotten proficient with maths, like a decent level. Like when it comes to maths, I could do maths relatively well. You get me? And today I've got some equations I'd like to show you guys. You get me? So a lot of you guys want to know how to make money. I feel like everyone does that. Bro, how can I make money, bro? How can I make 10K a month, 50K a month, 100K a month, all of that, right? And even though I'm not the best person to ask, I'll be the first one to admit, because I've not made the money yet. So if you guys want to go to somebody who's actually made the money, 100%, I understand. I'm not going to be one of them content creators who lies. I'm not gonna pretend, yeah, I actually, bro, I'm broke. You get me? I'm just broke, but I think a lot about things. And like I said, um, I am an engineering student. So purely from a maths based thing and then logic, I've been able to kind of come up with the following information and show you guys. And hopefully, I don't know, if somebody's successful, watches it, they can tell me, okay, yeah, you did well. Maybe this can be tweaked. But yeah, I just want to show you guys the formula that I think I've made on how to get successful. And yeah, so boom. So let's start off with this right here, money. And how do we get money, right? How do we get this thing right here? And the way we do it is we provide value. Now, how do you provide value? The way we provide value is by, offering skills to the world. But who assesses those skills and who tells us if we are valuable, right? You know what I'm saying? Like an example I could use for this is like, I don't know, you get some ugly thing, she starts an OnlyFans. You know what I'm saying? Like she could feel like, oh yeah, I'm a 10 out of 10, I'm pretty, da da da. Guys are gonna pay for my thing. I'm sure we all know girls like that in our city. They start OnlyFans, it flops. Why? Because the people who decide your value are, and I'm trying to get this perfect now, are other human beings. Other human beings decide your value in terms of the marketplace, capitalism, all of that, right? Other human beings decide it. You know what I'm saying? That's why when it comes to flipping footballers, right? Everyone complains, oh, footballers get paid too much. They're just kicking a ball, da da da. But at the end of the day, we all as human beings decide to care about football. You know, a large amount of us go to the football games, a large amount of us watch the Premier League, a large amount of us, contribute a lot to that industry. And as a result, we all have collectively decided that the people who play football deserve to be paid quite a lot. Do you get me? So that value thing is decided by other people, right? Okay, so cool. We've got that established. Now we've already established that money is providing value, which we get from other people. Beautiful. So money is providing value. Now value can be broken up into two parts. We have innate value and we have earned value. Now, innate value is the value that you have as an individual that you did not have to work for. Innate value is, for example, I don't know, like, what's a good example of an innate value? Like a talent you have or something like that. Like if you're good at swimming, you get me? If you're naturally tall, for example, if you're 7 foot, it's gonna be a no-brainer that, you know what I'm saying, if you put in what I'm about to talk about, after this earned value, you could make the NBA. Versus, I don't know if you'd be able to make the NBA if you're 5'7". Maybe, mindset and that, but probably not. If you're 5'7", you're probably not gonna make the NBA, right? So that's innate value. These are the things we are born with. And green pen. And these are the things that we are born with. And there is, like I said, we're going to talk about it now. There is earned value. Let me just get this nice here. Earned value. What is earned value? Well, I'm glad you asked that person who probably doesn't exist, because then I can show you this. Okay, hold on. Let me erase a sign graph real quick. You know what I'm saying? Make it more professional. So I don't know. I'm gonna try and show you guys this graph the best I can, right? So this is the graph. Oh, and let me hold on 1 second. I want to take all my videos. I don't edit. I don't do none of that cringy shit, bro. But let's go to time. Cool. Beautiful, right? So if you guys can look at this graph, you get me? We have learning on one side and we have time on the other, right? So let's analyze this, right? Let's really look at this. Here is basically the learning curve. Whoa! The learning curve is basically, you know, everyone's heard of the learning curve, right? How long it takes to learn a skill, right? You know what I'm saying? And I've basically jogged out using, again, logic, you know, thinking and common sense, as well as, you know, a little bit of personal experience. I've been able to kind of jot what I personally believe is the learning curve to success. Obviously, other people will disagree with me, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not a statistician, you get me? But yeah, this is the learning curve. Cool. So this learning curve, as you guys can see, whenever you're learning something, it is a lot easier, and I mean a lot easier, right? When you learn something, you have no skills, you make a lot of progress quickly. So if you look at this, you're climbing up, right? You're climbing up in progress. You're getting to that nice, you know what I'm saying, bit, right? At this point, this is when you basically become like, you're okay, right? You've experienced some level, and this is the peak, right? So as you guys can see, learning is exponential. Because for example, once you learn how to do 1 plus 1, you know 1 plus 1 is 2, you can do addition, then you could do subtraction, you know, eventually, before you know it, it's just a matter of time, you can do multiplication. After multiplication, you can do division. After that, you can do, let's say, decimals and things like that. Then you throw in maybe some negative numbers, you know what I'm saying? It's quite a smooth transition until, for example, and I know this isn't really the correct jump because there would be things between it, you get to something like calculus, which is obviously a lot more difficult. Going from the jump from that would be that. And this is what is represented in this graph. You see, whenever we start something, yeah, there's always a beginner point where we're at our highest level. You get me? My friend that I tried to finish this video before he came back, he's here. You want to say hi?
No.
You don't want to say hi?
No.
It's okay. Can I finish this video quick?
Okay.
Thank you. So there's a highest level, right, that we have in terms of, as a beginner, look, this is, you've achieved a good amount of knowledge. But after this, there's a drop. There's a big drop, right? Big drop. And the reason for that is because a learning curve, like I said, learning is exponential. You hit a peak, and then learning more things becomes progressively difficult. Because why? You're covering more difficult topics. You end up hitting roadblocks. You end up hitting things that are challenging, things that aren't as easy to grasp as quickly, you know what I'm saying? And one thing I want to state before I move on, I don't know if I mentioned this, is if you guys look at this learning curve, we have time on the bottom, you know, the amount of time it takes to achieve something, against learning, you get me? You guys probably saw that and probably, you know, put 1 and 2 together, but I want to make this as clear as possible. I know I'm probably not doing the best job, but yeah, I like I said, I think you guys can get so much value from this video. So boom. So as you guys are going down in the learning curve, right, you've reached this first, you know, pinnacle, like, yay, I know how to do it. And then this is where it gets difficult. And if you guys look at this here and about here, 50% of people fail. They just straight up fail, right? They just straight up fail, because this is the jump, I would say, in this part of the graph. This part is where it will take you from a beginner to around, once you get to the next peak, where I would say you go from a beginner to an intermediate, right? Intermediate. And a lot of people when they're in, let me zoom in, this value, or so not value, when they're in this part of the learning process, they quit. Because unlike the previous section where learning was easy and they were picking things up, they come across challenges, right? They come across setbacks, they come across things that aren't as easy to deal with. You know, the learning isn't as quick. You know, let's say it took an hour to understand a simple concept. Now it may take 3 hours to understand a simple concept, you know, and it's just becoming more progressively difficult, right? So boom, especially, you guys look, this part right here, a lot of people will give up, right? Because if you look at it, right, just even from a logical point, you've been working, things have been relatively easy. Because again, when you're learning, usually, especially if you have innate talent, remember we talked about innate value over here, right? So if you already have innate value, innate talent into the earned value that you're trying to achieve, it's obviously going to be even easier to make progress. But even if you don't, and it's a new skill, just in general, things when you learn it for the first times are very, very quick to grasp for the most part, right? For the most part. So boom. But then when we go into this section, it's a lot more difficult, right? It's a lot more difficult. So I'd say between this part, you guys see where I'm outlined just here. Actually, let me use a different color. I'm a real professor, you get me? From this part, I would say 50% of people fail. Just half of the people who say, yeah, I want to learn how to do this, I want to drop. Half of the YouTubers give up at this point. Half of future rappers give up at this point. Half of future entrepreneurs give up at this point. Because like I said, it's a first setback. It's a serious one as well, you get me? But the other half who keep going, like I said, this value, this here, dangerous, right? Dangerous. And hold on, let me adjust it. So, as you guys can see, from the green line, that's where a lot of people give up, like easily 50%, right? Because you're, like I said, it's harder. But then, as you guys can see, there is an upward momentum going up here. It's an upward, what's it called? Flow. Because that's when at this point you've stuck at it, you've pushed, and now things are beginning to get easier. You've now acquired, you've now learnt certain processes, and you've kind of reaching that level of, okay, things are getting easier, things are a lot easier to do, right? And this is when things, like in the beginning, it's exponential, you're learning quicker, right? Because you've overcome the struggle. So as you guys can see in this graph, you get me? All the way up until here, we're learning, you get me? Quickly, right? Until we get to this point, right here, right here. Now, I'm gonna erase this bit. Actually, no. Let me use another pen for this. Cool. So 24% of people at this point, when we get to here, yeah, between here and here, another 24% of people give up. Because at this point, you think you've defeated a final boss. You think, okay, cool. Man was there for the setback. You get me? Maybe at this point, if you're an entrepreneur, you're starting to make a little bit of money. Maybe if you're a student, you've reached second year. You know what I'm saying? You've not dropped out when, you know, second year, which everyone knows is very difficult. You managed to push through. If you're a musician, you may have a song that, you know, it's not big, but, you know, around the city, people are starting to be like, oh yeah, I know this guy. You get me? You weathered the storm of putting your music out there, things like that. All of this, right? You've reached some level of progress, but then you hit a wall. Again, this is a place where a lot of people will give up. And the reason why a lot of people will give up in this one is because after getting past the first one, a lot of people don't want to, you know, go past it again. They kind of already have this mindset that they've succeeded. They have this mindset that I've made it. You know, I got past that one stage, and then when they get to the second stage, it's like, fuck. You know, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I shouldn't be a musician. Maybe I shouldn't do this, right? And a lot of people give up. A lot of people. And I don't want that to be you. Definitely ain't gonna be me. Shit, nigga. If I'm giving you this advice, this shit ain't gonna be me. You get me? But a lot of people give up. A lot of people, right? So boom. That's the second point, and the second curve where we see a stark drop off in people, right? And it happens usually from around this point. So let me zoom in again. This whole area, right? Where no growth, nothing. You're not progressing as fast as you once were. Things have just slowed down and it's really starting to hit you, right? But as you guys can see, right up until this point, right? Like I said, 24% of people gone. Just, I don't want to do this, right? I don't want to live this right here. 24% of people just, I don't want to do this. But then the beautiful thing is, we look at a curve. Look at it here is where you get all the gains possible, all the good things possible, all the great things that come out of life, the million subscribers, the hundreds of thousands, the being monetized. For example, I'm saying that because obviously my aspiring thing is I want to be a YouTuber. You get me? And if you guys don't know, this is my second channel. This isn't even my main. I just, I do self-improvement just because, I say I like it, but my main, you get me? I also want this channel to do well, though, you know what I'm saying? All the channels to do well. But yeah, I'm going to speak as a YouTuber, but you could want to be a footballer. You could want to do a billion things, right? This point, this right here, this is the point of all the gains. And as you guys can see, the other ones, yes, it was exponential, right? It was a slow rise, come back down, a rise, you get me? Visually, I guess I should have made this peak a little greater, but it is what it is. But you rise up a bit, you go back down. But here, just like that. And this is the 1%, right? Because everyone's, the 1% that just stick at it. And the crazy part about the 1% is each level you guys go up to, it's just a straight graph upwards. It's just straight success. And at this point, at this peak, you can say you're a beginner. At this peak, you can say you're an intermediate, like we talked about. And at this peak, right? At this peak right here, you are an expert. You are an like the best, the GOAT basically, If you think of an industry where there's a clear dominant person, you get me? For example, Usain Bolt is here. When it comes to his type of running, Usain Bolt is here. Not even close. You know what I'm saying? So that's when you're the best. But even just being at this point is insane. But the crazy thing about the 1% at this point, like I said, at this level, the levels of you getting better than people is exponential. So for example, let's say your goal was you wanted to become an MBA. You got past the beginner stage, you were learning quickly. You had a setback. Things weren't as easy. There was challenges, you get me? You make it to college basketball, but then challenges, setbacks, things that would make you give up on this goal. Cool. And then you push through, right? You push, because I'm telling you, it's a hard journey here. Like I said, at this point here, 99% of people would have given up. But you push through, you're in the 1%. Now you're in the NBA. But for example, and I don't mean to diss J.R. Smith. If you might watch basketball, J.R. Smith, he ain't the best player, right? J.R. Smith, that nigga sometimes might score. Shit. Sometimes might score 2 points, maybe 4 points. He's here. J.R. Smith, for NBA standards, he's kind of shit. But he's still reaping all the benefits of the 1%, making crazy amounts of money, traveling. He's in the NBA, right? He's shit for an NBA, like in NBA perspective. He's a shit player, but he still made it here. But then if you think about the difference between a J.R. Smith and a LeBron James, you get me? A LeBron James or a Michael Jordan, they're worlds apart. And like I said, at this point, once you hit the 1%, exponential, like the difference between you when you just hit the 1% and the best, it's just bounds. But this is the point where everything just becomes easier. Once you get to this point, everything just becomes an upward battle, or just straight upward. You get me? The struggle is nowhere near as hard at this point, right? Because for the most part, you've already made it, right? Obviously, at this point, there's still competitiveness. It's still ruthless. There's still people fighting for that top spot. But in general, I don't know about you lot, but as long as I'm in this place, I'm happy. You get? Because I've made it. This for me, I would say, is million subscribers, making £1 million a year. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, good body and just all this good stuff from YouTube, right? Millionaire YouTuber with 1 million subscribers, with high engagement, good fan base. Once you've reached this 1% area, you get me? So it's serious. Now, let's go back to our equation. So we know innate value, your talent, multiplied by earned value, which as we look on here is simply learning multiplied by time, you get me? Which is going to give you your earned value. Now, earned value is a big word, but an easier way to describe it, and I wrote it down, is simply skill is equal to L, learning, multiplied by T, time. Simple. So the amount of learning you've been able to do, multiplied by your time, and then again, call back to this graph, you get me, is going to equal your skill. So in simpler terms, your innate value multiplied by your skill is going to determine how much money you can make, right? It's that simple. It's really that simple. And yeah, and if you guys want, a fancy little math equation, because I'm a nerd, you get me, I wrote it here as money. So let's just put money, innate value, aka talent. That's aka talent, multiplied by your skill. So, what are the steps we can take to make sure we basically get successful, achieve our goals, all of that? There's 3 key things that's going to make or break whether or not you can go through this process. Number 1, find innate value, aka find your talents. Because here's the thing, like I said earlier, if you go through this graph, you will have a lot easier time if the thing that you're trying to do, you already are talented at it. You already have a natural kind of ability to produce when it comes to this, than if you had completely no innate value. Because innate value, it will basically almost determine not only just where you start. Like for example, if you're already you pick things up quickly, bro, you could get through this stage very quickly versus somebody who had no talent. They may take, 2 years, you take 6 months. Do you get me? Obviously, now you can decide to go for something that you have absolutely zero innate value. For example, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember the smallest NBA player, but I'm pretty sure there's an NBA player that's like 5'10" and below. But it is very, very rare. And me personally, I'm not gonna tell anyone not to chase their dreams, but I will tell you that you will have an extremely difficult time to achieve any type of success in anything that you're just not already talented in. That's just the harsh reality of the world. I don't see that many 5'6" NBA players. You know what I'm saying? I don't see that many, naturally weak, scrawny, weak, no type of aggression MMA fighters. I just don't see it. You get me? I don't see it. So you pick something you're already innately talented at, okay? Next up, another example of that is the gym. I don't know anyone who has shit genetics that's in the bodybuilding hall of fame. No, you need good genetics for the gym. But I just wanted to give more examples, cool. So number 1, what are we gonna do? Find innate value, find your talents. Number 2, gain earned value. Let me repeat, gain earned value, or simpler terms, skills. Acquire a skill. How many people do you see online? Acquire a high income skill, a high income skill, high income this day. No, I'm joking. I'm not. But anyway, high income skills, right? acquiring it. As funny as it sounds to watch online, it is true. You do need to acquire a skill. And like we said before, skill is simply learning multiplied by time. And I don't mean multiplied in the no, I mean multiplied by time in terms of this graph. You need to go through this graphs process. And if you can gain the earned value, right? If you can gain the skills, you get me? If you can go through the trials and tribulation and eventually become a 1% person, you will reap the massive rewards. Massive, massive, massive rewards. Just unbelievable, right? Paired with your innate value, paired with your talent, you'll be soaring. And the last thing, and I think the most important part of this whole process, if you want to achieve this, is optimize your time. What do I mean by this? So let's go back to our graph. We have, let me zoom out a little bit. Yeah. You guys should be able to see that, hopefully. We have learning against time. Let me do that again. Hold on. Is time clear? Should be. Let me do that again. We have learning against time. Now, we already talked about the parts or the phases where most people give up, the downturns, right? The parts where you're not going to be learning as quickly or as efficiently as you were in the beginning, right? These are the transition stages between beginner, intermediate, and expert. So when we look at this, yeah, and we look at the downturns, the difference that's going to make sure that you stick at it, it isn't your work ethic, because to be honest with you, if it was work ethic, a lot more people would be successful. And that's the sad reality no one accepts. People think hard work is the only thing that gets you places. It's not hard work, it's smart work plus hard work. That's what gets you the results. Because for us to just say, you know, I'm just gonna be hardworking and then I could be a 1%, shush, come on. Bro, a lot of people are hardworking. I don't like this whole self-improvement thing of saying, you know, they don't work as hard as me. Bro, shut up, bro. There's people waking up at 5 a.m. working mad hour shifts, you get me, to provide, you get me? Like, a lot of people nowadays work hard. I'm never gonna diss people, but do they work smart though? That's the thing. And a way you can work smart is optimizing your time. Why is this important? When you optimize your time, you're going to be able to go through this process quicker. Why? You will have more time to invest into your learning, meaning that you'll be able to go through the down periods a lot quicker. You'll be a lot quicker. Not only will you be able to go through the down periods a lot quicker, relatively, you will also achieve your success a lot quicker, right? Everything will just be sped up. Now let's take two people. It takes one person 3 years to get to 1 million subscribers on YouTube. It takes another person 10 years to get to 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Just off of the two situations, who is more likely, who would be more likely to achieve that? Who would be more likely to get to actually achieve the end goal? One person, it takes them 3 years. The other person, it takes them 10. It's going to be the person who's free. It's going to be the person who takes 3 years to achieve the goal. It's not going to be the person who's 10 years. Because those 10 years, yeah, cool, he's slowly grinding. But during this period, the guy who, and I'm not saying it's as easy as 3 years to hit 1 million. I'm just giving an example, right? But the guy who's here, who's going to this down period, you know what, fuck here. The guy who's here, look at this big green, you know what I'm saying? Big neon green. At this point, you're past the beginning, you're intermediate, and it's life, it's just kicking the shit out of you. Like, what the fuck? You get me? The guy who it takes 10 years to get here, he spent 4 years here, or maybe 3 years here. And a guy who took 3 years to do it, he spent, what, 6 months? At most a year and 2 months. Like, it's not the same. It's really not the same. One person is going to be a lot more motivated to actually stick through this period than the other. And that's just the sad reality of it. That's the sad reality of it. Both of them could be as equally as hardworking as another. No one's saying no one's hardworking, but that's the reality of it. So boom, that's this. So with that in mind, optimize your time. What do I mean by optimizing your time? Any way that you can have more time that you can allocate towards your learning and you acquiring a skill, you should take it. If there's, let's say you're working a job, yeah, you're working 80 hours a week, 80 hours a week, and there's a way you can cut down to 40. You'll give up certain privileges, you get me? You'll give up certain things, but as long as it doesn't give up your core responsibilities, and you'll be overall okay. You know what I'm saying? Overall, you get me? You don't have kids or anything crazy like that. You 100% should do that, because what you will lose in money, you will gain in time, which, like I said, invest in learning, which eventually, after a long time, will gain you more money. You get me? Optimize your time. Every minute, every second, every hour, every nanosecond counts. You cannot afford to waste time if you actually want to achieve this. I mean, you can, but the process is going to be infinitely longer. And I don't know about you, I can't be fucked waiting for 15 years to hit 1 million subscribers. I want that shit in 5. I want that shit in 5, bro. I set a goal that I was gonna hit 100K on my main channel this year. It's an unrealistic goal, 100%, but I've set goals in my, I don't want this shit. I don't want for 15 years, fuck, I don't even want it at that point. What? No. You need to get this shit quick. You need to stop wasting time and allocate every single thing you have in the pursuit of this. The success. Everything you have. Don't waste time. You get me? An example I'm gonna use for this is Hamza. Look at how quickly Hamza blew up. Look how quickly Hamza just blew the fuck up, bro. Bro, for those who don't know about Hamza, just literally just search him up. You can search him up now and then come back to this video, or search him up when you're done. I don't care. But look at Hamza, bro. Hamza, literally what, 3-4 years, he's at 2.2 million subscribers. Why? Because he didn't miss a single fucking day. This nigga moved back home to his parents. He was living alone. He had his job. He had his independence. All this bullshit, yeah? He moved back home with his parents. Right? He moved back home with his parents. He humbled himself because his parents were pissed off at him. And he optimized his time. He invested all of his time in learning. And now look at him. Now look at him. I saw his other video. This nigga makes like 200,000 a month. Why can't that be you? Why can't that be me? Why can't that be all of us? You get me? Yeah, my friend had to take a little phone call. You get me? But yeah, why can't that be all of us? So yeah, optimize your time. Any single way that you can exchange money to buy back your time, do it. Do it. Don't be afraid if you have a business to spend a ridiculous amount of money just so you can save yourself some time. Because that time you are saving yourself is so key to this whole process. If you don't have the time in the first place, you won't be able to get to really access this. You get me? You'll get demotivated. The beginner stage, it'll demotivate you if you're stuck there for 4 years. The intermediate stage, it'll demotivate you if you're stuck there for 5 years. You've got to optimize your time any way you can. And I know that's hard. Even me, I'm a student. I've not studied for like 2 weeks. I gotta catch up on studying, you get me? But, even me, I know life gets hard, but you just gotta find a way to put in those hours, that time it's needed if you wanna get to where you want to get to. So, final keynotes, right? Money. What is money? Providing value. Keynotes. How do you get your value? Other human beings. Money. Innate value multiplied by earned value. You go through this stage, you know what I'm saying? You go through this graph. Beginner. You're learning. Ooh, you peak. You're officially beginner. Slow. You're at this point. Most people, what? 50% of people give up. Again, beginner. Ooh. It's hard. Again, get to this point. 24% of people get up. If you push past, 1%. You get me? 1%. What is this? Earned value. That's a complex word. What is that? It's skill. Learning multiplied by time. Not in the multiply, just, learning in time. It's a learning in time graph. That is skill. You get me? After this, you get me? We know money is innate value multiplied by your skill. And that is how you can achieve money and, all of this shit. And then, these are the key points. Find your innate value, gain skills, acquire skills, become more skilled. You get me? Optimize your time. Okay, so yeah, this has been a 5 years journal, different type of video, and I hope you guys got value from this.